Amanda here from createyourfuture.co. So today I'm going to share my personal story about how I manifested my relationship. And yeah, because somebody requested it. So guys, just before I do dive into it, remember we're having a contest. We get to 100,000 subscribers. We're giving away 3 free coaching sessions to 3 separate people, 1 each. And all you need to do to enter is to comment what you've manifested using the law of assumption, as well as share our videos and subscribe. So yeah, and guys, remember I've done a course. It's called How to Create the Relationship You Love. It's about recreating anybody in any sort of situation that you've already got some sort of relationship with. So coworkers, brothers, mothers, fathers, sisters, SPs, anybody you know that you would like to have, to change the relationship. So yeah, the link's in the description below under courses. So let's dive into this. So my personal story. So my personal story is more, so basically now I live with Andrew, and we have been talking about marriage and looking for rings together. That I already manifested that. So that's where we are right now. So how did we get here? It was a struggle. I know a lot of you guys have watched my older videos where I've talked actually a lot about my relationship, but I'll give you the rundown on the story and how I created it. So the first major thing we started dating. Okay. And when we started dating, everything was fine, but I did have the same insecurities that most people have. Like maybe he doesn't like me, maybe he's seeing somebody else. And I remember we would get together once a week, and I was like, no, you know what? I want to start seeing him more than once a week. I want to see him twice a week. Then he would start basically coming over twice a week, right? And then I was like, no, not quite good enough. So I started intending we'd see each other every night. And for the most part, we would see each other every night. So what I started creating was from the end that I wanted. So the end that I wanted was to live with somebody, obviously to get married, but that wasn't so much my end at that moment because I wasn't 100% sure if he was the one I wanted to marry. But I wanted to basically spend every night with him, eat dinner, watch TV, watch a movie, cuddle, have that companionship. So that's the end that I started from. And definitely living together was definitely like what I really, 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 really wanted at the time. So I went ahead and I started creating that we talk every day, and that, we see each other every day and we have dinner together. And that's basically what we did. And then as we were doing that, I kept saying to myself, of course he wants to live with me. We spend every day together, da 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 da. Which was fine because that is living from the end. So the most biggest thing that happened was I remember when I wanted to live with him, I brought it up and had the relationship talk because I wasn't 100% sure he wanted to be with me. And sure enough, guess what happened? He said he wasn't sure if he wanted to be with me because he had baggage and he didn't want to be in another relationship. And one of my biggest blocks was when I confronted him and said, do you want to live with me? And he was like, well, no, you know what? I've got, baggage, and I don't want to live with anybody. And then I was like, I'm like, that's right. You know what? I created like years ago that any guy that was previously married didn't want to get into another relationship because they had a bad marriage. And so here it was showing. So it showed up, and then I did a video on this. And basically for the next 5 days, I basically said, nope, he's over his baggage. He's ready to move in with me. He wants to be with me. He wants to live with me. And it was about 5 days later, we were actually sitting at a pub having lunch, and all of a sudden he says, you know what? I said, what? He goes, you're not crazy. And I said, oh, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. He's like, I think I would like to live with you. And I was like, oh, right. So he changed his mind. I remember excusing myself, going to the bathroom, and like, right. Like I was so freaking happy. So basically, right, and then fast forward a little bit more, we moved in together, and then, basically what I kept telling myself to get me to the next stage of looking for rings and talking about marriage was, he already lives with me. Of course he's going to marry me. We're pretty much already married, right? And so do you see how what I did in my relationship to get past my resistances block is, first of all, I took things that showed up that I didn't like as feedback, and then I also created actions, what I would see, hear, and feel if I already had what I wanted. And then I would use my current reality as an assumption to get what I wanted. So when we were hanging out every single night together and having dinner together, but we weren't like actually committed relation. Well, we were committed, but we weren't living together. I would say, well, he's here every night anyway. Of course he wants to live with me. We have dinner every night. We hang out every night. Of course he wants to live with me. He never wants to go home. And then once I was able to create that, and then I'm like, we live together. We're pretty much already married because he's me pushed out. So he's going to start thinking that. Okay. So that's what I think is very important. Okay. So for instance, if you want to take a relationship that's like friends with benefits and take it to the next level, right? You've got to look at the friends with benefits like, no, they're with me because they want to be with me. They're like, you know, getting intimate with me because they want to be in a relationship, a committed relationship with me. You've got to use what you've got in your current reality and make that assumption, create that and say, no, because this is happening, this is happening. Okay. That's how we create with the law of assumption. What we assume is going to show up in our reality. Okay. So, I mean, it did take now, I mean, how long did it take for me to get to where I am? Well, me and Andrea have been together for 5 years, which is, you know, it's quite a bit of time. The time that it's taken us to get to where we are has been 100% my choice because, you know, I never wanted a relationship where I met someone one day and I was married to them 2 weeks later. You know, I've been very much enjoying the whole entire process of it. And, you know, because it's about me creating somebody that I enjoy being with. That's me creating the relationship that I like. And, you know, and me getting past like all of my previous negative thoughts, all my insecurities and everything like that to get to a place where I want to be. So I don't look at it as, okay, that's my end goal. I've got to get there because your end goal is always changing. So for instance, right, my end goal was, okay, I just want to start dating somebody. Okay. So start dating somebody. Okay. Now I want a committed relationship, got into a committed relationship. Well, now I want to live with them. Then I started living with them. And then, okay, now I want to get married. Now we're going to, you know, so you take your relationship in the steps and you enjoy each step. It's not about, okay, how good of a creator are you? Can you get married tomorrow? Well, yeah, I can get married tomorrow if I really wanted to, but it's a journey. And then once you do get married and you reach that end, you got to change your end to your anniversaries, right? And so, or having kids or starting a family. So goals are constantly changing and ever fluid throughout your life. It's not okay, I'm either married or not married. If I'm not married, I'm a failure. And if I'm married, I'm not a failure. That's not how this works. It's a relationship for you to enjoy. So once we start changing the way that we look at our relationship, instead of looking at how we don't have what we want, we look at what we have and say, this is going to get me towards what I want. And that's how we create with the law of assumption. Now, I get it. You know what? I had a previous relationship before Andrew for like 7 years where it was just basically friends with benefits. And it got stuck in that stage because I gave up because I had had enough of my own, you know, junk that I was like, forget this because I know I was creating it. But the other thing is, right, there was a lot of baggage. So one thing I do want to say is that, you know what, it's okay if you've created something and you don't want to pursue with it, right? Or if you are going to power through and get it. There's no right or wrong in this life. It's only what you want, right? So if you do want that X and you do want to recreate them, then go ahead and do it. And if you think, oh, you know what, I've had enough of this. I've beaten my head against the wall enough. I've frustrated myself enough. I just want to move on and find someone new. Then there's nothing wrong with that as well. But with me personally, in my previous relationship of the 7 years, it was just so much baggage that it was like, no, I want to start fresh. And there was other traits that I wanted to create. So I created someone new. No shame there. Andrew's not my first boyfriend. Right? So, you know, hopefully it'll be the last boyfriend. That's what we're hoping, right? So, you know, throughout my journey, what's made my relationship successful and me successful is not taking a look at what I don't have, taking a look at what I have and how can I create the assumption that I'm getting what I want. And I think that is the biggest secret, is that we don't go, well, I want to be in a committed relationship, but I'm getting friends with benefits. I'm settling for breadcrumbs. Okay, that's coming from the end of rejection. Because if somebody was, you know, if you felt rejected, that's what your thoughts would be. But if you felt like you were in this loving relationship where this person wants to be with you, then you would be like, like, no, you know what? We're friends with benefits because they want to be with me and they're going to want to be in a committed relationship with me like right now. And using that, like, you know, you want to see the good in other people, right? I can tell you right now, any argument that me and Andrew have ever had is because we haven't been seeing the good in each other for a split second and then decided to react and act on it, right? So, you know, you've got to start seeing the good in people right away. So like, for instance, with a friends with benefit relationship, you've got to go, no, this person's not using me. They actually want to be with me. And that's why we're, you know, having this sort of relationship, because we are going to take it to the next level. If you can't see them as somebody that wants to be with you, then they're never going to want to be with you, because it all starts with you, inside of you. So you've got to see them as the person that you want them to be. And if that's a person, you know, if they say, for instance, have commitment issues and you don't think they want to be with you, then you've got to start changing that to start reflecting what you actually want them to think and to be, right? Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, guys, that's my quick rundown on my relationship and how I've created it up until now. I mean, of course, there's been hiccups along the way, but those were the major events, you know, that sort of happened, my major milestones anyway. You know, and like I said, you know, everything's about making everything in your reality mean you are going to get what you want, and it's leading to what you want. And that's how we create a bridge of incidences, and that's how we create using the law of assumption. And it's okay if you temporarily forget that. You can just go back to it and be like, okay, no, seriously, you know, never look at and see anybody as someone that wants to hurt you, and they'll never hurt you. So we get what we give, what the benefit that we give people, the assumption that we give people, that's what we get back. So when, you know, we think things of people that aren't so great, and then it reflects back to us, it does hurt, but we're the ones that created it. So if we just take a little bit of responsibility for it and say, no, you know what, fine, I created it. Yep, it sucks. But guess what? I can change it, and then start focusing on what you actually want to see instead. It can be work sometime, but I tell you, you know what, it's going to pay off, because you're going to get past your blocks, and it really doesn't take that much energy. It just takes dedication, and it takes focus. You've got to focus on it. The more energy you put to it, the faster it's going to happen. So yeah, I mean, my relationship hasn't been all perfect. I've had to get past my own junk, and I have gotten past my own junk, which is great. But, you know, if you say can't, then there's nothing wrong with manifesting someone new. Or if you can and you want to have somebody that you were previously with, there's nothing wrong with that as well. There's absolutely nothing wrong. Life's a journey. Life's your experience, and you get to have whatever you want. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. I hope that helps. You can see more about my journey in the older videos from about maybe 3 years ago that I posted. So talked a lot about, you know, about creating a committed relationship back then when I was working on it, after I, you know, got into a committed relationship. So yeah, definitely take a look in there. So thank you guys so much for liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing. And I intend that this video helps each and every single one of you guys. And we'll see you in the next video. Bye.